Hello, class. This is Rebecca Kern. Welcome to our meteorology unit. So some of the topics that we're going to be covering in this lesson are why airlifting is important, types of precipitation, and the adiabatic cooling process. So airlifting is important because it helps to form clouds and precipitation. It does this through the four different types of airlifting, which are orographic lifting, which is where air is forced to rise over a mountain, convective lifting, which is unequal surface heating, which creates localized pockets of air to rise because the warm air is more buoyant, convergence, air flows in from multiple directions, it collides and causes the air to move upward. Frontal wedging is where masses of warm air and cold air collide. So now that we know the types of air lifting, why does it cause it to form clouds and precipitation? Well, when the air rises, it cools, and the air particles collect water vapor that are in the sky, and that water vapor forms clouds. And when clouds are formed and they have enough water vapor in them, which is when they reach their saturation point, they will cause precipitation. So different types of precipitation are rain, sleet, hail, and snow. So what are the differences between these? Well, rain is when water falls to the ground. We all know that. Sleet is where water freezes before it hits the ground. Snow is when ice crystals fall. And hail is when clouds create a high updraft and the water droplets collide together, and they form those big ice chunks that we know that cause damage to cars and buildings and things. That can be a real annoyance, especially here in Oklahoma, where hail is fairly frequent during the winter months. So our next topic is the adiabatic cooling process. So you can look at the diagram that I drew. So where the land is, the first layer of the air above us is usually dry. So when the air rises, it starts out in the dry rate. And when it continues to rise to the wet rate, air cools as it's rising because the particles are further apart in the air, so that air is allowed to expand, and that expansion causes a cooling process because it is not as condensed, the air particles, and the particles aren't moving past each other as quickly, so they're cooler. And that cool air combined with the moisture in the air, or the water vapor, collides and creates clouds once you get past the dew point. So when the adiabatic cooling process, the start of it is air rising, and through any of the means that we talked about before. And once it rises first to the dry rate, and then reaches the dew point and through to the wet rate. And once you're past the dew point is where clouds will begin forming. And the cloud formation is what allows us to have the precipitation. And without precipitation, we wouldn't have the water and weather that we see today, which is important for all life on Earth. So that's the end of our lesson. Thank you for listening, and have a great week.